think it's working.
Have you had your chart read before?
Not by a professional, no. But I've been studying it since 2020. I think I discovered. Well, I've always been fascinated by it, like hearing it, but then I really started studying it in 2020, and I look at stuff every day, like all the time. Like I love it.
Like following.
It's helped me understand myself so much.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know this is a map of the sky for the date, place, and time you were born, and that's all astronomically correct, what the sky looked like at that moment. And all of these planets and asteroids, they're in different houses and different signs, making different relationships to each other. That all has relevance. Three of the most important points, of course, when we look at analyzing a chart are the sun, moon, and rising sign. And you're a double Cancer since you have the sun and rising. That just means you were born early in the morning, because the rising sign refers to what sign was coming up on the eastern horizon when you came into this world, and that changes every 2 hours.
Do you look at sidereal too? Like, do you only look at tropical, or?
I'm a tropical person.
Do you ever look at the other ones though? Or?
I do a little bit, but I'm not a Vedic astrologer, and I haven't studied that. I have a lot of other 50 years of studying the Western astrology. So,
when did you discover it, or?
I started knowing about astrology when I was 6, and my mother introduced it to me, and then I started studying it when I was 9, and started doing readings for people when I was about 12, 13 years old. So.
Well, yeah. So while studying it, and if people ask about it or anything, like I've found it's hard for me to verbalize it and put it into words. Because I've just been studying my own chart and then looking at other people's, like it's so like overwhelming. And I learn new stuff every day. That's what I love about it.
Yeah.
With transits and everything.
It'll continue to be something that unfolds for you as you get older too. Yeah. I mean, it's like a lifelong passion of mine for sure.
Yeah, me too. Like it's because of the impact it's had on my life. Like I want other people to discover this too, like, and have just like learn about themselves and anything. Can I ask about with exact conjunctions? Like I know also with being like so in the 12th house, it's kind of hard for me to understand how other people see me. Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of most of your thoughts and presence is internal, and this 12th house, of course, is really connected with our subconscious. It's a house of finding inner calm and inner peace. It's a transcendental house. So your sun and Venus and Mars and Mercury all there, you're very much interested in this lifetime in finding that kind of inner connection and inner reflection, and in the very sensitive sign of Cancer. So we think about you as a crab, a literal crab, you're going to spend a lot of time inside your shell and just kind of peek out there every now and then to connect with others. But
what do you have in the 12th house? Sorry, I'm very curious.
I have Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune in my 12th house.
Okay. Yeah. Also had a question about just Jupiter at 0 degrees in Gemini.
So Jupiter is, as you know, a planet that has to do with growth and expansion, and it's very much a good fortune planet. Wherever it's located in our chart is where we have some fortune to discover. Yours is right next to Saturn, which is the lessons planet. So to really work with that good fortune, you have to put effort and persistence and purpose behind it. Jupiter in Gemini. Jupiter is already expansive, and Gemini is a very mentally expansive, like easily distracted kind of energy. So that's not the easiest place to have Jupiter because of the flood of all different kinds of stimulation. And you have it in the 11th house, which is friends, groups, people that you connect with that have similar long-term goals as you, not just personal goals, but like for the society. So there's definitely work for you to do in that area. That's your area where you can make an impact in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I know. Have you looked at septiles at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I think. I have a Saturn septile in my ascendant and Venus septile Saturn, but that's what with friends and everything, and being so 12th house, like I can make friends very easily and everything, but I need like so much alone time, and with boundaries and everything, like I realized like I can have boundaries like a couple of years ago when I discovered like astrology, like it all made sense to me.
Because you need that replenishing of yourself. You can't just be in the midst of what's going on with others.
That's why I just went along with everyone else and everything, and didn't have like an ego of myself, and that's what, and me like all the time, like I feel like I'm in the collective all the time, like I'm aware of like everything.
But you do have Mercury and Venus really close together on your rising, so you do have important connections with others and an influence of other people that's both intellectual and loving. And if we look at your numerology, you're a 3 life path born on the 3rd, so that's about communication. That's about spreading joy and understanding to others and facilitating exchange of communication amongst people, and that's also indicated by that Jupiter and Saturn together in the 11th house. 11th house is certainly friends, like our personal friends, but it's also our network of people that we're connected to for purpose as well. Now, some other things that I wanted to point out, of course, your moon. Moon is very important in your chart. It's the ruler of your chart, both as your Cancer sun, but also whatever sign is rising. The ruler of that has special sway, special weight in the chart.
The chart ruler.
And that's Leo in your first house. So that's the more sunny, emotional disposition, wanting to, again, spread that joy, not just the moody Cancer energy that's very sensitive and intuitive and psychic and can pick up all kinds of things and try and nurture and soothe whatever's going on. But you also have that moon in Leo, which is you've had leadership positions in other lifetimes. You are a person that brings that kind of wanting to bring people together, wanting to be in the center of things, even though your Cancer says, oh, but I don't want to live in the center of things. The moon in Leo needs to be seen and recognized, particularly in the first house. There's a sense of needing to find your clan, your people, and be a central cog in that group. And that's represented in a lot of places. You're also part of the soul group that's the truth-telling group with the Pluto in Sagittarius. Other people in your generation of Pluto are like Greta from Sweden, wherever she's from, that goes around promoting understanding about the environment and the impact that we are having on the earth. Parkland teenagers who, instead of just becoming victims from the shooting in Florida at their high school, they became activists in Washington. There's a lot of examples of needing to expose, and not just expose, take action, like activate, spur people with the truth with that generation. So that's another indicator that you have some more feisty sides of yourself. That Pluto is trine to your moon, and so there's some leadership potential for you to, but not like spending your whole life making that a cornerstone of your life, like the people that we just mentioned. That's more of your personal world and your personal growth and evolution, transcendence from the mundane and the harshness of the physical world into a more spiritual perspective. That's where the majority of your chart is focused, with all that Cancer in the 12th. But you do have 0 degrees Aries at the very top of your chart, which is your midheaven, your career point, and that is not a silent position. That's, again, kind of more of that activist, that spurring people. You would never want a job where you're totally hidden. You need to have something where you're, involved, and there's variety and action involved in the work, not just being in a cave meditating with all that. You need to also have some sense of drive and purpose in your work career. And I do say that with this North Node, the nodal axis, the North Node in Cancer in your first house, your intuition, your inner knowing is something that you're really encouraging yourself to trust and connect with in this life, not what other people think, not to please everyone else. That's the South Node over here in the 7th house, maybe even feeling a sense of responsibility to others, to not have your own perspective, but to carry on whatever they are doing. No, this life you're meant to have your own intuitive drive and direction that's not dependent on other people. And again, the moon is in charge of that. That moon in Leo, I think you bring a lot of strengths from other lifetimes, but it is opposite Neptune. So again, there's that 12th house Piscean spiritual energy.
My mom has that too.
Does she?
Yeah, so I get it from her.
That's a super psychic and intuitive aspect, but it's also one that can lead to being overwhelmed emotionally from the world.
And not seeing things like the way they are.
Realistically.
Yeah.
You have such a lot of nurturing, though. Both your relationship planets, Venus and Mars, are in Cancer, the sign of the good mother and the good father. There's a strong drive within you to take care of others, whether it's people in your life, plants, animals, pets, whatever. You have that strong desire to nurture and to create emotional security for yourself and others that you care for. Cancer's, the one thing to remember too, though, Cancer is not about nurturing everyone. It's like you find your clan, your people, your family, your soul family, whatever, that you really feel, this is my group. These are who I feel connected to.
Because I'm protective too of who I let in.
Absolutely. Sun and Mars together, already feisty energy, and then in Cancer, very protective, like your mama bear energy is very strong if you feel like loved ones are not safe, or that someone's picking on them, or that there's any kind of emotional threat. Particularly, this is a strong anger reaction with that.
I feel a lot. And with the exact conjunction too, and I also have Venus exact conjunct my ascendant, which is, I guess, like I come off like I want to make things beautiful, and I see beauty in everything. Really,
it's a friendly.
I'm friendly too. That's what
friendly connection to have, because that's the
people
rising
feel comfortable with
how you enter into the world. How people first perceive you is very much that rising sign. You're Venus forward,
and that's what I have. Like I think like all of these are like conjunct my ascendant, which is like powerful. That's what trying to understand how other people see me. Like I'm a powerful presence, I've learned, and it makes sense. But that's what trying to be comfortable with it, especially being in the 12th house, because I'm sure a first house person would be more comfortable with it. But a 12th house, like, I've always wanted to just hide and be shy. But like internally, the Leo moon, like, and everything, like I wanted that, but like could not feel comfortable doing that. And it's been a process of trying to be more comfortable with myself. My therapist has helped me a lot, giving me that someone who like supports me and gives me good words of affirmation, because I haven't had I'm like the only one in my family that sees a therapist and it talks about this stuff like so like I know I came here for a reason, and I know I did come here for a reason. I think I'm here to just be myself, really, and it's been hard to try to, but it's really just a mental game, like fighting with myself. And like I recognize, like I really do, like I see the world in different ways than other people, and that's been not the easiest, but I've accepting it, and it's such a gift. and I want to use it
Cancers
for the best possible
take
way.
things very personally.
Yeah.
And that emphasis, the Leo moon in the past
sensitive.
lives could be extremely, in control of things, like the ruler, the one who is the boss in charge. But now, with all that Cancer in the 12th house, it's really pulling you to find more of your inner approval and your inner peace, not so much about...
In the 7th house too. Sorry,
Right.
I don't mean to cut you off.
So the other thing I will say before we go to some things about where the planets are right now and how your year is shaping up here, you do have your Black Moon, which is considered in Diamond Astrology, that's your cosmic birth channel. You have that in very purposeful Capricorn in the 6th house of work. So the most important identity that you have on a cosmic level is to be a person who is of service and that does work that's very, very meaningful, not just to pay bills or to be identified with in the public, but more of this is my calling. This is something that I feel very, very much, this is why I'm here, your purpose. And that Capricorn Black Moon is very purposeful, it's very focused, and it's in that 6th house of work, health, and service. So there's something for you to do. We know that you have plenty of energy to fuel into that, but it does keep pulling you back into more sensitivity and more psychic perception and more of that nurturing, caring, which may not have been your identity in other lives. That's something that you're developing in this life. And a certain amount of detachment, which is hard for Cancer, because all that 12th house is more like, it's almost like looking through a film or a veil out into the world. There's not that immediate connection. There's that, looking through the veil. Now, one thing I noticed right now, like on your birthday last year, you went into a 7-year, which is one of those particularly introverted times where we look inside and find some inner motivation that we get very serious and focused about, but it's not something other people assign us. It's something that comes forth from our own perception and our own reflection. And as you approach your birthday this summer, you go into an 8-year, which is a more extroverted time. It's a more action-oriented time. When I looked at your progressed moon, well, your progressed chart in general, which is saying if you are 22 years old, where were the planets 22 days after your birth, that's going to reflect an internal clock as opposed to the transits, which are external influences that move us along. This is internal impulses and growth that moves us along. So the thing that is most relevant a lot of times is the progressed moon, because that moves 1 degree per month. It's by far the quickest of any of these progressed planets. It's been for 2 years in Taurus, which is a pretty grounded time, not a wild kind of, some more practical matters, more about, okay, I got some inspiration in the last couple of years before that, and now I'm manifesting. I'm putting things like practically and consistently into some kind of place in my life. Now, I would say in the last year and a half, your progressed moon went into this 11th house, which again is those groups and friends and people, your network of people that you connect with. And now your progressed moon for this month, April and May, is all going to be on your Saturn, which is a particularly good time for, it's a good time for connecting with people in your group or your network that also have motivation towards goals, towards something that's not just self-indulgent, but more of a purposeful kind of coming together to accomplish something that you couldn't do by yourself, something that needs that group energy. And Saturn does give us a little bit of a glass half empty kind of perspective. When you have the progressed moon on there, it's not the most emotionally upbeat period. It's more of, there's a lot of kind of feelings sometimes of separation, or like you have to not be so dependent on others again, but finding your own emotional center and your own kind of well-being inside yourself. But I will say, with it being in that 11th house, there could be some kind of group affiliation, some people that you join together with that have also a more serious or more long-term kind of goal in mind that you could collaborate with. And your progressed moon will be in this house for another over a year more, so you'll spend some time in there, and eventually it's going to get into Gemini in about we'll say 5 months, because it's just the beginning. Okay, so 5 months from now, so that would be in the summer, right after your birthday, like in August. You'll notice an emotional shift, because when the progressed moon goes into Gemini for 2.5 years, it's much more about learning, teaching, communicating, connecting with other people. It is again less of a trudging along kind of moon like the Taurus progressed moon, and more of a connections with others. And it's going to happen for the next year. It'll be still in your 11th house. So there's definitely some people to connect with, some communications that get stimulated as a result of your collaboration with others with that progressed moon there. And it goes in August, you'll notice a shift to a more upbeat emotional outlook, because then the moon is connecting with your Jupiter, which is much more optimistic and much more I can do this, or it spurs that kind of mental outreach that then results in physical action. And then the other thing is, it's not yet, but your progressed sun is now in Leo, and it will, I would say you would feel this more strongly in like end of 2024 through 2025, 2026. It'll be on your moon at birth. That's kind of a personal new moon. And you are at the end of an energy cycle right now. This is not the most, you don't have access to full energy to engage with the world at this time. But you will find as you get into 2025, 2026, and beyond, through the end of the 2020s, that you get revved up, that you get this new influx of energy that starts to fuel you. And that's the time to really make an impact with your goals. Right now, you're kind of gathering information, you're reflecting, you're connecting, but you don't have that energetic push to give birth to something right now. It's more of it's kind of akin to the balsamic phase of the moon, which is dreamy, which is mystical, which is imagining and dreaming, but not fueling the action yet. So you're at the end of an energy cycle. There's a lot for you to learn right now. Saturn, now if we look at the transits in your chart, Saturn has just entered, it's just in the process of entering your 9th house, and will be there for 3 years. And that's a period, that's the 9th house is education, higher education. It also has to do with travel and expanding our perspective, but Saturn is about putting the nose to the grindstone, looking at things very realistically and getting down to the nitty-gritty. So do you have any educational plans, or are you in school right now? This is
I'll hopefully graduate, and then I'll in winter 2024, and then as of right now I'll do masters.
Yeah, this is a good time for that to have, as Saturn is going through that 9th house. So part of when your moon in the summer goes into Gemini, it's going to be a lot more fun too, to your studies, because your mind is woo, really connecting and really reaching out to grab up more information and to exchange information. Like the synergy of connecting with other people and getting that play of ideas really revs you up when the progressed moon is in Gemini for 2.5 years. That's and especially in the 11th house, which is that social house anyway. So that's going to feel good to you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be nannying for 3 kids this summer, maybe more. So that's.
And then Jupiter has been in your 10th house, which is a favorable place for you to be in the public perception. You're like have more of a something to offer, something attractive. Now that's also going later this spring into your 11th house, probably in May. Let's look. You got a lot of things converging into that 11th house. There's 11th house emphasis right now. Even your 22nd year of life is focused in the 11th house. When you turn 23, it shifts to this 12th house, which is, of course, where lots of things are in your chart. So that's an action year for reaping some things that you've been working on. But Jupiter goes up into actually in June, Jupiter moves into this 11th house for the rest of the year. And that is, again, a very favorable time for discovering wonderful connections with other people. Things that bring opportunity, that spur your mind, that spur your enthusiasm. So it's kind of like you engage with some of that and then you take it into your silent place and process it, and then you engage with it some more, and then you can't just stay in that silent inner place right now. It's time, especially as we get into the summer, it's time for you to start connecting and using those
right now.
Really, I would say starting in the summer.
Okay.
And let's see where the eclipses are going to happen in spring for you. The first one is going to be in your 10th house of career and public self. It is April 19th. So,
like
this coming Tuesday, the 22nd, there's a new moon in Aries that's going to be right at the top of your chart on your career point. And then on the next new moon, it's at the 29th degree of Aries. All the span of Aries, that's 2 new moons in a row in Aries, and the second one is a solar eclipse, which triggers things. So that's all happening in your 10th house of career and public. You're very visible right now, even though you like to be.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
This is a very visible period, and it's meant to activate something in you that gets you get some goals stirring up. And I don't think it's just by yourself. It has to be, kind of brought about as a result of connecting with other people.
Okay.
And then the lunar eclipse we have May 5th. That's going to be in your 5th house, which is children, and that not just physical children, but also your creative children that you like to bring into this world, your creative projects, and that's the house of more playfulness. It's that childlike house of authentic self-expression without making everything all perfect. But that lunar eclipse, let's see, it's making a very lovely trine to your rising sign, your Venus, and your Mercury. These are all great things for bringing you out of the cave and into connecting with others, being seen favorably. As Jupiter has been up there in your 10th house, that's like a favorable light cast upon you. And then it's moving into, in June, in your 11th house for the rest of the year, which is other people kind of notice you because of that favorable light, because of that, your inner self is kind of radiating and having little signals that pick up on the people who are on your same wavelength will pick up on, not just everybody, but so this is you're going into a period of more extroversion, more I know you're not an extrovert, but more interaction with others, and those interactions don't have to be continuous. I know you need to restore your
I've noticed that recently.
But you will get benefits, you will get inspiration, you will get pleasure, you will get benefits from those connections with like-minded people. And the October eclipses are going to be the 4th and 10th house. So that's 4th house is home, family. That's where let me look on here. Both of those next lunar and solar eclipses are in the October. There's a solar one October 14th that'll be in this 4th house of home and family, trining making a good aspect to Uranus up here. So there, you may find a living situation that starts with that period. I don't know if you still live at home or you live out in the world.
My sister will have a baby in October.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing that'll be different, yeah.
Yeah.
And your living situation may also, you may have an opportunity to...
I have my own apartment.
Yeah. And then the lunar eclipse, October 28th, is going to be right on the cusp of your 11th house, 5 degrees Taurus. So I do think that you are headed into, and that's going to be squaring your moon, so, and your Neptune. The positive side of that would be to highlight those, your own spiritual ideals through that friends and group thing. The negative side would be you may become disillusioned with some people that you are friends with, that you go, oh, they're not what I thought. That's not. And that may, again, cause you to connect with people that are more on your wavelength instead of, sometimes we just have people in our lives, they're not bad people, but we reach different kind of things that are important to us, or opportunities that will not be facilitated by certain people kind of expecting us to be the same. So
that's what I don't know that many people that I could.
So it probably will be more of an opportunity to find some people that are on that same path. Let's see some things with Pluto going into Aquarius this next week. You probably won't find you'll have a lot more of that over the next 2 years as Pluto reaches your Neptune and opposes your moon. But what will happen right now is that Pluto is in trine to Jupiter in your chart again in that 11th house. I feel like
I've really felt like I could be more myself recently. Especially on social media. Like I've been like posting more like actually myself, and it's actually nice. Like I don't. Yeah.
There's some good things for you to enjoy and expand upon in yourself that is going to be helped by being with people that are also seeking those kinds of things.
I felt more comfortable being my true self with people, collective.
That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see one other thing. Yeah, Mars will be moving in through Cancer, so you're having your Mars return. We should do that real quick. That's happening in it's like the end of April. So let's see.
That's when my mom has Mars in 12th house too.
Does she?
And she's very Cancer too.
Oh wow.
My dad was Leo. My dad passed away in 2017.
Oh,
unexpectedly, and that's what I never got a reason for it, and that's what made me start questioning, and that started a lot. It triggered a lot, as you can imagine.
Spiritual journey.
Yeah.
Well, let us look at your Mars return, because that happens every about 2.5 years, and it kind of starts a new cycle of how we're gonna how we're gonna assert ourselves, how we're gonna use our will. What area is that gonna be focused on? So
is it every 2 years it's home back in Cancer, or okay?
Mars has about a 2 to 2.5 year circuit around the sun, so
it comes
fast. Yeah, it's not so far away.
Okay.
Like Mercury, less than a year goes around the sun. Venus, about a year. Mars takes a little bit longer. Then we start getting like Jupiter is a 12-year cycle. Saturn is a 28 to 30-year cycle to make one orbit around the sun. So those are bigger impacts of those things. But let us look at, bring up your chart. I'm going to say we want to do a Mars return, just to see a little snapshot of what that Mars return will mean for you, because after that, that's going to be in April and May, it's going to go across into your first house, so it's going to have some you're going to have some action coming from that. So let's go Mars and 2023, Mars return. Now, what city do you live in now?
Lexington, Kentucky.
All right, so let's put that as the latitude and longitude. And see what comes up here. So, lots of stuff in your 10th house, but Mars is in your 12th. Okay. Even with this this Mars return, it's not like you're making your biggest splash in the world yet, but you are definitely very much kind of being pointed in the direction of your career and of what it is that's going to be your identity in the world.
That's what I've been wondering.
Yeah, because, Cancer, 29th degree of Cancer rising, so the moon is also very important in this chart, and the moon is over here in psychic, intuitive Pisces, but very close to Saturn, so that's that not just escaping into the world of imagination, but trying to lasso something and bring it down into this world, and it's in a very psychological place of the 8th house. But you see there's a really beautiful trine between the moon and Saturn and Mars. So I think while there's a lot of continued internal reflection, trying to connect with, that inner peace and inner knowing that is obviously your life path.
That's all I know.
The big impact with this is going to be pushing you towards a certain career, a certain kind of how you want to be known in the world, what you want to be doing that really brings whatever you do interact with the outer world. You're wanting this is a very kind of ambitious energy here, because the Sun and Jupiter together in Aries in this house, and the very the North Node, and then Mercury and Uranus in Taurus, which is brilliant ideas but practical. So there's a nice fusion of mystical and practical, even like that right there, that fusion of mystical and practical.
Chiron's right by Jupiter.
Yeah, and that's what we're all experiencing right now, is that healing, that chance to heal some of our how we assert ourselves in the world, how we use our will to be our own independent selves, but obviously still wanting to contribute something, not just to be, acting out something, but more how can I get confidence and courage to do something that's really important to me and unique, or is self-initiating, something I think of. So this is an interesting Mars return.
And that's this year? Or?
Yeah, April 16th is when
April.
you have it.
Oh, wow. So
I can send this to you. So you'll have this. We should do your solar return too, so you can have that.
That's what the transits and the returns, that's the stuff I want to know more, because that stuff's hard. Like time and that stuff is very, doesnll exist for me, but like
What is your email?
It's ANNELLESILLESIMS @gmail.com.
sims@gmail.com. Make sure to look at that and see if that looks right.
Yeah.
So what I'll do is I'm going to send you a series of things here. I'm going to send you this Mars return chart for you to kind of look at. Now remember, this is just like a snapshot of Mars, and it tells us this cycle, this Mars cycle that the new one that you're entering.
Is it
April,
every 2 years?
I mean, it's not precisely 2. It's between 2 and 2.5 years. I can look and tell you when the next one is going to happen, because we just look at your degree, 11 degrees of Cancer, and we'll see. So let's start looking in 2025.
I wonder if that's like around the
look, it'll be in 2024.
Yeah.
It'll be in September of 2024 is when your next Mars return is.
Okay. So
it's a little bit quicker than it got sped up there. Okay, Mars return 2023. Yeah, that's really only a year and a half, isn't it?
Mm.
But it makes it September 2024.
Mm.
Mars is moving quickly. Okay, I'm sending you this. Then I'm going to do your solar return chart real quick. That is for your birthday every year. You look at that when the sun comes back once a year to that point, and this gives you a little bit more insight into the focus of that year. So we're going to do that for this year too. How you're using your, the sun is how we identify ourselves and what motivates us, how we want to shine in the world. It's really a very personal point. So when we have it every year, return to where it was at our birth, it's like a new direction or a new way that we're going to be motivated that year. So both Mars and the sun returns have a lot to do with how we're going to assert ourselves, or how we're going to spend our energy, our life force energy. Okay, so for this year. So this happens July 3rd, and this has the sun and Mercury in the 7th house of relationships. That's another social house. And then there's Venus and Mars really close together in Leo, which is in the 8th house, which is wanting passion and deepening intimacy. I mean, do you have probably don't have a romantic relationship right now, or do you?
That's what there's someone in my life who I think could be he is very significant, but it's just weird right now. So I don't know how else to describe it. He's in one of my classes. We're about to go to Chicago and travel together, and that's what I'm in, like a small class, and it's like last time I talked to him, like I kind of like truly expressed myself because I was off my medicine. Like I didn't feel like I could express myself, and then I did, and I feel like he was shocked, and like I don't know. But we are very similar. I have his birth chart too, so I was wondering if maybe you could look at it. But like that, I know that's not me. So
this is really very much, and it's a full moon too. So it's very much leaning towards relationship for your next year. And finding and not only just relationship, but learning about yourself through relationship. I think that's going to be a theme for you with friends as well as romantic partners.
That's what I do learn a lot from other people and from I've learned a lot from him.
And this is that full moon energy, which is us and them. There's a lot of that illumination that comes through the give and take, that interaction with other people. And then of course the sun being in the 7th house is very definitely seeking partnership, seeking that kind of connection where you don't feel like you're traveling alone, but you have this partner. And travel is kind of important because Sagittarius is rising over here, which is higher education, but it's also broadening our horizons through travel, through exploration, different ideas, different belief systems, different philosophies.
And it's in the 29th degree.
And it's the last degree. And then Jupiter is the ruler of your chart for that birthday, and it's down here in very sensible Taurus in the 4th house, home, family, roots. It kind of expands your comfort zone as far as that goes. Like
that would make sense with relationships because that is out of my other people I like being by myself.
Well, you're always gonna enjoy solitude. You're always gonna enjoy having space to yourself and time to reflect, and certainly you greatly benefit from spiritual practices like yoga or meditation or prayer or self-reflection time, even in nature. But
I need it.
Like you're always gonna be that. All right, so let's,
Hmm.
Neptune is the sole depositor in this chart too, and it's in its own sign here of Pisces in the 3rd house. So this is a period of opening up your mind. You're seeking something that's not just the mundane, not just so even like in your studies, it's not just about, I've mastered this course and I've gotten approval for it. It's more like inspiring you to make connections out in the world, to put it to use somehow with how you interact with the world, not just an accomplishment on your list. It's got a more spiritual
purpose.
Yeah. All right, so let me save this and send this to you.
Yeah, that's what the North Node's in the 1st degree too. That's what, every time I look at stuff, I'm just like amazed.
Yeah, these charts, as I send them to you, you can spend a little bit of time.
Yeah. I've always wanted to print mine out because looking at the website, like switching back and forth is. I'm getting.
Yeah, and I'm gonna. What I'd like to do now, I will also send you. Let's see, 2023 solar return chart. I can send you just your natal chart, so you'll have it on your computer that you can print out. I mean, you can have these, but there's an envelope for them. But you could lose them. So if you want to just have this, we'll send this too. But then the other thing that might be fun for you is to have the chart with the transits now. So that you can contemplate those a little bit further.
Yeah.
So if we take this and we say you want the transit bi-wheel, so that's going to show you and some of these things, of course this is transit, so like the moon is going to be moving, very rapidly. Right now it's right here, right at this moment.
This right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this inner wheel and these things are your natal chart, but this big wheel is where are the planets right now. And as you know, things like Jupiter and Neptune and Saturn and Pluto, those move more slowly, so this is going to be good. This is going to be effective for a little bit of time. Uranus, those are but things like the sun, I mean, that moves a degree a day. So if you looked at this next month, the sun isn't going to be there anymore. It's going to be over here. You know what I'm saying? And the moon, of course, every day is moving. So it stays in a sign 2.5 days or 3 days at the most. So
cool.
It's always moving. But you can see, like, it's very important that Saturn is now shifting into your 9th house, which again, that 9th house takes you out. It takes you, it's higher education, but perspective, a bigger perspective of the world.
Mind.
Yeah. And it's the whole idea of travel and expanding your mind through considering different philosophies and cultures and ways of living opens up a lot of possibilities. You're going to have that for 3 years. It's going to be going through that 9th house.
Saturn is.
Jupiter will be in this 10th house, like we said, until June. It's in May it goes in Taurus, and then by June it'll have gone into this 11th house. Pluto is at the very end of Capricorn, and it'll be going into the beginning of Aquarius, but it's still going to be in your 7th house for a while, really for several years more. And Mars, like we said, in April it's already going to be in Cancer on your Sun, and then by June it'll be moving into your 1st house. So those planets move a lot quicker. Some of these planets move much more slowly. Today is a very cosmic energy day. The Sun, Mercury, and Neptune all exactly aligned, square to Mars. It's not a good day for making long-term decisions, but it is a good day for kind of having some inspiration that maybe you keep to yourself. And then when the aspects are more favorable, you might share and put out in the world. Not quite yet.
Yeah. With transit Lilith is at right now. Yeah. I don't know. I just have a lot of planets right opposite my Lilith, and so learning that it made a lot of sense.
Well, you know what that is in diamond astrology. The opposite point from Lilith is what we call Priapus. This is our easy area. The part where the Lilith that's an effortful place. That's a place that we have to give birth to something that's our cosmic identity. It is not something we see reflected out in the world. So you're going to make your own purposeful work. It's not going to be somebody hires you and says, "Oh, we've hired you for this ideal job." No, you're going to forge your way into finding your meaningful work, and you're going to create that.
I want to work for myself.
Well, that's a good thing. And then all those Cancer planets are in a more comfortable place, which is going inside, right?
That's true.
That's your comfort zone, is inside there. But you will, as you go through life, not expecting you at 22, 23 to already be living your Lilith, but as you get a little older, you start to say, this is something I have to express and create and give birth to in the world. This is something very essential part of me, and this is what I'm going to be doing.
I'm very grateful. My mom has pushed me out of my comfort zone so much because that is why I am the way I am right now.
Well, it's not coincidental that you have been born to a Cancer who understands a lot of your motivation, but still says...
In synastry, our suns are conjunct.
That's
which is...
amazing. Maybe y'all are a bit of the twin soul energy where she's, she helps you to be your best self and you do things for her to...
I feel like I could have been her mom in a past life.
Could very well be true.
I feel that very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
But and her mom passed away right. I'm named after my mom's mom, who passed away right before I was born. And Lucille is her mom, and that's what I feel like she's been with me my whole life, and now she's with my dad, and my dad's dad, and that's what Aunt Lucille was even named after her aunt, Lucille Sunbeam.
Oh,
I know, I love that name.
That's not out of your realm because you have that Leo moon, which is the sun.
And Lucy means light, or Lucille too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and means grace or favor. It all makes sense to me, and it's all beautiful.
So you're all that Cancers are not only connected to the family of birth or the family that they create, it's also the ancestral lineage, and Cancers are really good at...
And moms and feminine.
And Cancer people are very good at telling the family stories, the family recipes, the family photographs, and also tracing ancestral lineage and
my mom gets
dysfunctional
annoyed
patterns.
by how many questions I ask about our ancestors or family. Like I love looking at old pictures and that stuff. I'm always asking about them. So I do feel they're with me, and I want to get closer with that. Like,
spend some time exploring more of that ancestral and healing some wounds in the ancestral lineage is something Cancers have a special ability to do.
And everything makes sense. With my Saturn sceptile ascendant,
I think
how does that work?
You are Saturn and Taurus, proper values and using money and resources in a way that builds something, but for you, that's not just for yourself. You have it in the 11th house of friends, groups, networks. You have something, some stabilizing or some more realistic contributions in that area to make. It's not about just living in the dream world or your imagination or doing things behind the scenes. Totally, it's also about making an actual center where people come, or something
next
tangible.
To Jupiter too.
Yeah, something tangible that you facilitate.
That's what I want to help as many people as possible. Help the world. I feel it so much.
Well, you're gonna have a chance to do that. Remember, in about 3 years from now, going on 4 years, you'll have a new cycle of purpose that you'll really get going with. But it's being seeded right now is how you can think of it. It's being seeded.
What about Venus and Saturn? It's a subtle.
Well, I think you're looking for more long-term commitments with relationship. You're not really interested in a lot of variety with relation. I mean, obviously, it's hard enough for you to open up to be intimate and open to even one person. So you're not looking to keep doing that over and over. You're more like, this once I find somebody that I feel comfortable with, that I feel that emotional and mental connection.
Because I've opened up already, I was in one significant relationship, and then I met someone, and then we immediately started dating for 11 days, and that I was still like kind of obsessed with him. And then this person now, that's just the 3 people that I've like felt soul connections with, and that's why I don't just date anyone or talk to anyone, and it's hard to open up for me. Especially after being broken that first time, being so Cancer, like so protective. That's why I wouldn't open up to the new guy, even though we met immediately, had a connection, and I still felt like I couldn't close off. It's like we just met. It's like I think he felt closed off, but it all makes sense.
It appears to me that you're going to have a romantic relationship. It's going to be pretty important to you as you're going into your new year because of that sun in the solar return chart in the 7th house. That's being a full moon on your birthday, and all of those things kind of coming together. It doesn't mean, I mean, it may or may not be your forever person, but it's definitely a significant relationship.
Yeah, that's Neptune in my 7th house. Like I don't think
karmic relationships.
Yeah, and South Node. And is that Vesta too? Is that like where do you find like soul fire or just?
Yeah, the hearth. That's the hearth
energy. I love the.
But you have very purposeful hearth energy, and you have a very purposeful black moon. So you're not you're not a slacker. You just have a lot of sensitivity and a lot of inner time that you need.
Yes. What is this? Because I know, is it part of fortune?
It's the part of fortune is actually the one that looks like that one in the 2nd house, which is being tangible. Yeah, but it's also in the 2nd house, which is tangible things. This is the earth. It's exactly opposite the sun. I don't really interpret the earth, but
I read about the other day. Yeah.
We will have more interest in that kind of earth position as we think about maybe beyond your time, I don't know, but as we're reaching out to live on other planets like Mars, there'll have to be a different astrology that's developed from that perspective, because our astrology is all from the perspective of Earth.
That's what sunshine house system, that's what I looked into the other day, and I think that's what I heard about Earth from. But I wonder what that means. Like, 'cause I didn't really look into it. Because I'm curious about everything, it's like hard for me to like focus on something for too long. And especially with astrology, like I like, this asteroid.
Oh, and I mean, you're gonna get interested in a lot of stuff, but you can't if you're gonna really apply astrology, you can't do everything.
Yeah,
you've got to kind of find the things that you go, okay, these things I like, these things give me information that I can work with, and I'm gonna, not that you won't consider other stuff, but you can't do that to every chart that you come across, right? It would drive you insane.
Stick to like what you like 12th house, or with the, because I saw it said like funnel chart type, because I was always wondering what kind of shape it was.
So with the funnel, it says leading Neptune, so that means that you approach things from that Neptune point, which is visionary, intuitive, and then and then all the planets are kind of like connected over here, and then you've got one planet, Pluto, that's the focus. So this is, see how your moon is opposite Neptune, so all of this is the funnel part, that's your area of experience, and then this one planet here is out of that, and that's the focus, evolution, transformation.
Rebirth.
That's your focus.
Oh, because I never.
Your soul.
I don't think I've ever put that together. Why would it be? So the leading focus is Neptune because of my Pisces, or like what's?
Because that starts this pattern of here's where all your other planets are. Is in this space right here.
But why doesn't it start at like another planet? Like why that one? Is it because of the opposition?
It's how the planets are flowing. So it goes that way, and then Pluto is outside of that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You can study a little bit about evolutionary astrology if you want to look more into Pluto and the nodes. That's a really meaningful astrology if you want to know because you have so much emphasis in that 12th house, which is a cosmic house and sensing, wanting transcendence, and that evolutionary astrology will tell you about that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm always changing, so that makes sense with the Pluto. I'm always wanting to change.
You have a very strong desire to, transform, transcend in this life. I'm sorry to rush you. I have another.
I know, I thought.
But it was a pleasure to meet you, Lucy, and I wish you the very best.
I know.
I hope you continue with your astrological